then things went very much the way of VG after that. So let's not write this one off just yet. First couple of bans, though, going to be Renekton and Misfortune taken off the board by Top Esports. It's going to be answered by an Akali, and I'm curious to see if Top start to focus down on Hope a little bit more.
I don't think Hope is really the big issue here. My thought process going into this draft is to try and leave that last pick for Knight to give him the counter pick once you see what Scout is going to go for. Because you had Knight lock in that early Zoe, they were able to bring out the Diana and could play to the way they wanted to on the map. But if you start to see the full draft flesh out here, you can then figure out what EDG are going to go for. Last ban, I think, needs to be Lucian here for EDG, though, because if you don't, the flexibility that offers to Top Esports, I think, could crush the remainder of this draft phase.
Gragas and Aphelios taken off the board here. Diana available. It's going to be Elise taken here. How high priority is Diana?
I think Lucian. I think you just lock in the Lucian here. Forget about the Diana. That was more just, okay, we saw the opportunity. That's not a Lucian.
Senna still being prioritized, but with the MF taken off the table, Senna can have a major impact in these games.
It also is something that they tend to give towards Photic, because they're like, okay, we want more of you to fit that supportive role, be the utility, but it will give the Lucian over towards EDG, which means that up until that very final pick, you're not really going to have any idea as to what this draft is going to look like from EDG.
I mean, this is just too much given over, I think. Like, I don't think that the Senna is this valuable. I don't think you get enough out of that early Senna lock-in to justify giving over Lucian and Lee Sin. Lee Sin, especially in this matchup between Karsa and GAGA, such a valuable jungler.
And this is the thing that I was looking at, going, well, look, you already have a Aphelios ban, you have the Misfortune ban as well. If you take the Lucian, and still you can either pair it with the Nautilus or Leona for Top Esports, you win in the bottom lane. This is screaming to me that they don't have confidence in their bottom lane to win that out. They don't think that giving the Lucian or something more aggressive to Chocho, I mean, to be fair, didn't have the best of Nautilus performances in the last game, but can't win this out. And that's a big issue for Top Esports, and a lot of other teams will look at this and be taking note.
Well, we've got some smiles on the faces, so they don't seem to think that this draft is going that badly. They're quite happy with how it's going so far, and the Rek'Sai will be locked in for Karsa. Rek'Sai obviously does have a great matchup into the likes of Lee Sin. Great at finding those early duels and can kind of read what Lee Sin wants to do.
Final pick of the first pick phase will be locked in by EDG. Imagine it's going to be the support, will be the Leona that's going to come through. And already you can see that bottom lane, if you do want to prioritize the Lucian in that lane, can have serious control over what Senna is capable of doing in the hands of Photic.
So we're going to be banned away here by EDG, even though Knight didn't have the greatest performance in game number 1. Still going to respect the sheer power that Knight can bring to the table in that Zoe pick. And I'm curious what Knight is going to fall back on now, because Zoe has been his super comfort pick throughout the LPL so far. Granted, that's only one series, but he's been playing the Zoe for as long as I can remember, basically. He's known for his Zoe. Now it's taken off the board. We'll see what he brings out.
I mean, Knight is definitely a player that has a lot of champions that he can go towards, and that's why I appreciate the Top Esports are banning away picks like the LeBlanc, because it means that you don't have that blind pick ability there, and it forces Scout to go in a direction, make a choice with how he wants to play this mid lane, and give priority to Knight in that lane.
It is possible, though, that EDG just go for a top laner, allow the counter pick in the top lane, and go for a safer mid lane pick themselves as the final lock-in. We'll have to see where their strategy lies there. Kennen going to be banned away, though, for the top lane. Now Top have to find out their final ban.
I imagine with that Rumble taken off, we'll see the Mordekaiser come in here for Jinnu. Works very well. It does mean that you've still got the flexibility as to if Lucian is going towards the mid lane or towards that bottom lane. But it looks like neither of these teams may be having Mordekaiser as their tip-top priority. The Aatrox instead is going to be locked in.
There we have it. Aatrox, such an incredibly strong champion currently, and Jinnu knows how to use it. We saw that in game number 1, and we'll see if he's going to be able to have a repeat performance on the top lane terror that is Aatrox. Top Esports, though, they've still got opportunities here. They still have options on how they can try and force the issue. And Orianna is going to be the answer here for Knight.
We have seen Ori rise up as that other blind pick that was there. So with the LeBlanc gone, they're going to take the Orianna. Still trying to be that lane bully, but if they are going to go towards something like the Rise, can push out that wave very effectively and answer for the wave clear while maintaining that distance away from the Orianna. And now you've got the Mordekaiser locked in that top lane. We already talked about how strong Mordekaiser can be. I don't like that last pick for EDG.
Sylas coming on in. We've seen a little bit of Sylas recently. It did get changed. It's not that strong right now, in my opinion. We've seen it a couple of times, and it's not been that convincing. However, if there's someone that can make it work, I've got faith in Scout.
That's fair. I mean, they did play him as a side lane split pusher in the last game. Could go towards a very similar style here if they wanted to.
Also, really important, Sylas has two amazing ultimates to take here. He can take the Shockwave from Knight. He can also take the Death Realm from 369. That is a huge opportunity. If he can take the AD carry out of the fight, it can change things up entirely.
I wasn't sure if we were going to see the Sylas actually come through. I was curious to see if they'd flex the Lucian in towards the mid lane and then try and go for something like the Varus in the bottom lane. This just says to me that, look, EDG realize we're not going to beat top esports if we try and play this just through the team fight. Instead, we're going to look to play towards those side lanes. Aatrox winning out in one lane, have the Sylas off in the other, force again Knight out of the comfort zone, get him out where he's got the support of his team and draw him down, because this is exactly how EDG played the map and top esports weren't able to answer in that last game.
Time to find out who's going to be able to push forward in this series. I'm excited to see some of the picks that we've seen locked in here. And top esports, not a strong showing in game number 1. They have to turn things around for game number 2. We've got to see something a little bit more convincing from the side of top. They had a great first game of the season, but it was against a much easier opponent. Now, with Scout on the Sylas in this mid lane, there's a whole lot to feast your eyes on.
We've seen the Sylas come out before, hasn't been the most impressive. And to be honest, I'm surprised to see EDG bringing it out here again. But it definitely does feel like they're just trying to avoid completely top esports fighting and just go for this side lane pressure.
Does sound like the crowd leaning a little bit in favor of EDG here, but there's a good amount of top esports fans there as well. And now as we head on into this one, I'm surprised how far down the draft Mordekaiser got before being picked up there. 369 going to be able to get the carry for himself. Mordekaiser versus Aatrox in that top lane. Dagda, talk to me about that matchup, because those are both carries that can take over a game.
Definitely. The big difference here, though, is the timing on when that's going to be the case. Aatrox has a very strong early game and can use those sweet spots in the Darkened Blade to punish 369. The big one is trying to use the claw, the death grasp, to pull them back in to avoid some of that damage. The problem is it's got such a long cooldown. Mako
getting stunned up here, taking a good chunk of damage from the likes of Votic and Chocho. But nothing too crazy coming out into level 1. Just a little bit of sparring out of these guys as GAGA does spot out that ward before invading.
One of the things that we don't get to talk about a huge amount with Senna is the way you need to try and trade in that bottom side of the map. Because Photic has a built-in sustain to the kit and can heal up both Chocho and himself, you need to make sure that you're pushing this Senna out of lane. Otherwise, the sustain is going to come through and you'll eventually lose the trades, just like something like a Soraka in that bottom lane. So Hope and Mako going for these aggressive trades where they can't actually get much more means that it's a win for top esports.
Yeah, the sustain is Senna versus Lucian. The marital matchup, if you will, down in that bottom lane. Apologies, I've got a little bit of a cold, guys, so I've been trying to hide the coughs. I don't know if any of them have come through Dagda's mics. Mics?
I've got 2, just to make sure that I'm totally heard at all points in time.
Throw the bonus volume.
It's actually just I'm a diva. I just wanted to just be awkward to production.
Can confirm. But let's talk a little bit about this Sylas. It's not something I was expecting to see. The Diana's not really something I was expecting to see either, to be honest. It's something, you know, it's a fringe pick. Sylas, with its recent performances, even less so. Here we go, GAJ down in the bottom lane. He's found a fight for himself. Photic the target, but Caster's arrived for the counter gang. Gets a good knock up. There's the teleports. Mako flashes away with his life as Caster tries to get away. Jojo gonna go down as well by the looks of things. Knight, the next target. Flash from Hope. Oh, the heal comes through from Photic. The piercing dart saves the day.
But they still do get the kill over onto the Lucian. Fantastic play from EDG to realize that they would be able to collapse. And again, it's JJ who's getting out and getting the early kills in favor, or at least the early advantages in favor of EDG. Now, Chocho, though, still low. But as he said, the piercing darkness coming in clutch. And now again, healing up this Braum to allow them to stay for this wave.
Going to be able to stick around for now. That could have gone so much worse for top. Really well played.
Great call from Chocho here to throw up that Unbreakable to stop the Sonic Wave from Lee Sin. But the double teleport comes in almost instantly. But EDG are just in a better spot, a better health pool to turn this one in their favor. And now we're going to see EDG again playing heavily towards this bottom side. Lucian can do very well when given the opportunity to take over the game. And JJ wants to make sure that happens.
The piercing dart coming out from Photic. That's what we call bot lane synergy, ladies and gentlemen. Saving the support. It's usually the other way around. Usually Chocho says stand behind me. But this time Photic, he's got his supports
Bit
back.
of a stand by me more than a stand behind me.
Are you about to start singing? Or?
I want to. We've started that tradition in our house where if you just start singing randomly, about 3 or 4 people will join in. But I don't think I'm going to
Let's not right
that.
now. Here we go, JJ going to be coming on in, lands the Sonic Wave, 369. Oh, actually huge damage, Jinnu does not miss.
That was so well played by the top lane and the jungle for EDG. JJ predicts the movement from 369, hits the Sonic Wave, and Jinnu just about getting the edge of the Darkened Blade to secure that kill.
Very nicely done from the side of EDG, and 369. He's not having a fun time in this top matchup. Like, in game number 1, he really started to fall behind. Game number 2, now Jinnu once again finding an advantage.
And this is advantages across the board now for EDG. We talked about how Jinnu is in control of this top lane matchup in the early stages. Well, that's only gone and increased now thanks to that play. You've got the bot lane for Mako and Hope ahead as well. So you have your pick of the litter. You want to go for that Rift Herald, you want to go for those dragons. Both of them are in EDG's control.
We'll see which one they're going to try and force early on, though. 6 minutes on the clock, so the Rift Herald won't be available for them just yet, but Mountain Drake is the first one on the map. And it looks like JJ wants to try and force something down in this bottom side.
JJ wants to try and keep up this aggression because he knows if we give top esports time to scale, Knight will start to really hurt with those shock waves. You're going to have 369 who can do a lot of work in the later stages of the game as well. So trying to get out and start this fights early, where Photic can't really be a big carry because he's on the Senna. Knight doesn't have the damage, and 369 is without a teleport.
So far, this mid lane has been very difficult for Scout on the Sylas. Obviously, Orianna, massive lane bully against these melee mid laners. He's got a big CS lead, but Sylas now level 6. Knight actually getting caught out by a shockwave, but GAGA knows better than to jump that far into the enemy jungle. Hope dashing away with his life, but that Sonic Wave giving vision and giving knowledge means that GAGA is happy to come and set up for this dragon. And we'll be able to start this objective off.
You can see Mako setting up Hope to nom nom on that fruit in the river to keep himself nice and topped up. The trio will start up the dragon. No contest coming through from top esports, realizing they're too far ahead at this point for us to really make any sort of impact in the fight.
Yeah, and it's a nice dragon to pick up early as well. A little bit of armor and MR. It's going to go a long way across the course of the game. You get a lot of value out of those stats if it's picked up early on. And the gold lead so far still in favor of top, but it's by a mere 200. So certainly not anything to write home about.
And what I'd expect EDG to do now is shove in this wave. I was going to say they can either look for the dive, but Chocho and Photic are backing away, which means they can get some of these turret plates. And now, after this wave has died, back, go up towards the top lane where the Rift Herald has just spawned. But it looks like Karsa is reading the play, understanding EDG are looking for the dive, and going to try and steal away the Rift Herald before that transition can come through.
Great stuff from Karsa to understand that this is his opportunity to punish EDG. And EDG is a team that you got to punish when you have the chance to. 369 going to be able to find himself the Krugs as well, but JJ is coming on into the top lane. 369 walks away though, gets the heal off.
Yeah, with Scout backed away, JJ a bit late to the play. Top Esports will be able to steal that one away. The difference is, though, may not have an opportunity to utilize it to its full effect. Because, as we talked about before, Rift Herald is starting to become more of a win more if you can get an opportunity to take those third plates. Watching Mako, though, has made their way up towards top lane.
Karsa just consistently channeling this recall. He's not willing to go. He's not willing, just in case Jinnu forces a play.
It's not even like, you know, this Pool Party Renekton game where it's a cool backing animation. It's just a, oh, no, I'm not. Am I? No, I'm not.
Well, so far, across the board, it's looking like win lane, win game here for Top Esports. They've got a 20 CS lead in the top lane, 10 CS in the jungle, 10 CS in mid, and then almost 20, in fact, over 20 down in the bottom lane as well. They are really starting to rack up these numbers.
And you can see this hasn't been the best of intentions for EDG. They're trying to get the same movements that they did in the last game. Have netted themselves 2 kills and a turret play in the bottom lane, but as you said, all this map movement means that Hope hasn't been able to farm in the bottom lane. You're also having Knight still being able to punish Scout in the mid lane because of the melee versus range matchup, plus an Orianna on top of that with the passive. And now EDG again starting to make moves, trying to get control and see if they can make plays on this bottom side of the map.
And we have to look back towards the mid lane matchup once again. This was our kind of matchup to watch for this series. Scout up against Knight, and game number 1, Scout pretty much schooled. Oh. Chocho, the absolute madman, steals away the chicken from GAGA. Beautifully done there. But back to my original point, I got distracted by the hilarious steal. Scout absolutely scored Knight in game number 1. The Zoe just did not work out. This game, Knight on the Orianna, something that you don't have to play quite as stylishly. It's very easy to have a good impact.
Photic making sure that he's not going to get jumped on too quickly. JJ will get hit by the Winter's Bite, and Karsa wants to go for it.
Karsa looking for the knockup, but JJ flashes out immediately there.
I like the adaptation we've seen from Knight in this mid lane matchup, just building on the point you had before that little bit of action. Opted for the Unsealed Spellbook as the rune choice for the Orianna means that we'll have access to that teleport every so often, just use it to get back to lane there. It means that now they've got someone who can actually hope to play against Scout if they tried to go for this 1-3-1 style, and that now gives me a little bit more hope for Top Esports coming into this, that they can force the fights that they want rather than having Scout, like we saw in the last game, run around and pick up all these turret plates, because only 2.5 minutes before they're gone.
Yep, 2.5 minutes to grab that extra little bit of gold. We've not seen too many turret plates taken across the board right here. 2 in favor of EDG down in that bottom lane. That is, I believe, it across the entire map, so certainly not that much to work with just yet. And also Rift Herald, we saw it picked up. Karsa still has that in his pocket. So a couple more of these plates should go down, but Karsa not found an opportunity to use that objective yet.
And this is the biggest problem that we see with the Rift Herald, is now that you don't guarantee those 3 plates, if you're not able to get the Rift Herald into an advantageous spot to actually hit the turret, it does nothing.
I've just noticed, oh, here we go. We're going to go for a red buff steal here. Rek'Sai's hands are underneath the ground. And you know how your hands glow purple when you've got Rift Herald? There's 2 like purple orbs under the ground for
I was going to see if I could notice it, but unfortunately the Rift Herald will get popped, so no fun time for us, but no fun time for EDG as well, as they scramble to try and get to this mid lane to hold on to this turret.
Well, that's going to be a good chunk of gold going the way of Knight. He gets 2 plates there. Mako just about misses the Zenith Blade, but the Solar Flare will land. Chocho forced to use his stopwatch. There's a Shockwave onto 2. Chocho close to going down, but gets away with his life. 1 kill to Knight, and 369 now arrives in the fray. Misses the pull and ends the fight.
Do get the charge from the Rift Herald though, so mid lane turret not looking the healthiest for EDG, but with so much burnt by EDG in that fight, Top Esports will look to turn and pick up their own first Drake of the game.
It's looking for 1 Drake apiece right here. Scout wants to contest this one. The Drake does go down. Scout still looking for a fight right here, but he's going to be flattened underfoot. Jinu, the next target, as GAGA just runs for his life. Jinu can't do it, not 1v5. And well, Top just, I don't really know what that was. That was a weird contest for EDG.
That was actually the interaction that nearly broke, well, definitely did break the game a little while ago. Why Mordekaiser was disabled was Scout ulting 369 into the Death Realm for 369 to then Death Realm Silas on the contest. Don't know why they tried to go for that kind of play, but unfortunately it doesn't work out for them. Not able to get the steal that they would have liked, and EDG just give across several kills.
I mean, EDG, I kind of get the idea. If GAGA is in better position, like, maybe they can force a contest there. But ultimately, you're not in the best position. All your ultimates are on cooldown. I don't know if you can do much in that fight, honestly. Like, even in best case scenario, I don't know if that's a one contest for EDG.
Nah, I don't think it ever was, but they went for it. They tried their best, and A for effort, unfortunately, not exactly what the fans at home are going to be smiling about. Top Esports now sitting with a 1.5k gold lead as we approach that 15-minute mark. We're starting to look at the first items coming through across the board from them as well. And once more, we're seeing Knight go for the GLP 400. People favouring the utility so much from this item because it does give at least a little bit of damage, but you can help shut down what EDG want to do. This run through and try and pick up the kills.
Yeah, such great utility. And, you know, we saw it come into the meta alongside that Glacial Augment. It became a very popular item just to set up other abilities. But I think it almost accidentally became a favorite item. And now it's very stable regardless of the runes you are running. Just the utility that it offers can be so effective, but also a tiny little bit of extra burst damage.
Well, control is in favor of Top Esports. They will pick up the Rift Herald, and now they can start to look towards the turrets. Finally crack open one of these. Top lane is looking pretty healthy. That mid lane, not so much though. So if they can force EDG to respond to them on one side of the map, might be able to get something nice for themselves in the mid lane.
Here we go. Mako's found another target, and Scout has a shockwave for himself if he can find a way in. That's just going to be Mako going down. And, well, we've seen it before. Leona's biting off more than they can chew.
I like the way Photic drew a massive line as to how Mako crossed it and got punished for it. Now they're going to drop the Rift Herald in the mid lane, push in to get that tower, and this is the crucial one. Mid lane tower is so much more important than any of the other outer turrets, and it's going to be picked up by Top Esports. Give them a breath of control in towards the jungle that EDG will have to respect.
And in the meantime, they're also taking this top lane tower. There is very little answer coming out from EDG. You can see Jinu heading down towards the bottom lane, but 369 is there to answer him. Fantastic swing in favor of Top Esports here, and now a 4,000 gold lead.
Top Esports looking much more like we were expecting them to coming into game number 1. Now they're in control of game number 2, and it's looking a little bit more difficult for EDG to get back this to control. As we said, EDG should be the ones dictating the pace in the early stages of the game. The Lucian with the Leona for Hope and Mako controlling that bottom side of the map. Jinu was in control of the top side, but Top Esports have found the way to get ahead and are giving the opportunity for Knight and for 369 to scale into the later stages of the game where they're in control.
I'm really curious when Scout is going to start making real use of this Silas pick. It's a controversial pick. It's something that not many other players are bringing to the table here in the LPL. And so far, it's not really had much of an impact. Now, granted, Silas does take a little bit to come online. But I don't know. I'm yet to be convinced by this pick.
I'm in the same boat as you, Munch. I haven't seen what I would like to out of this Silas pick. Scout And if it was anyone who's going to be able to play it, it was Scout, as you pointed out. Likes these off-brand picks. There was the Pantheon as a pocket pick. We saw the Diana come out in the last game. Now it's the Sylas. And yes, it's playable, but I think a lot of people in solo queue know that Sylas really hasn't been hitting that upper echelon of the win rates.
And you can see there down on the graphic, Knight is OP. So good.
Yeah, true, true.
Good bit of information coming out from the production team there. Nice one. 5,000 gold lead, though, for Top Esports. 2 towers to 0. A Drake apiece as the third one now spawns on the map. And I'm curious, I was going to say who's going to get it, but Top already very much in position to grab this Ocean Drake for themselves. The question will be, do EDG force an attempt yet again?
It's going to be gone before they get the opportunity. That was the question on my mind as well.
But that was the case last time too.
That was the thing. EDG shown that they don't really care if they should fight. It's if they could fight. And this time around, they're not capable of doing so. We will back away. But Scout and JJ will show on the wards and possibly be collapsed on. Although it looks like at the moment, Top Esports don't want anything to do with EDG. They've got their mind more focused on getting control of that top side of the map for the Baron that's spawning in just over a minute.
Yeah, no collapses just yet. Not before the 25-minute mark, I'm afraid, my friend. What did you think this is? The LPL? You think we're going to get team fights?
I know,
don't
who would
think
it?
so,
Yeah.
buddy.
I mean, what happened?
The meta has definitely slowed down. I feel like I've been missold PPI. I know that's a pretty niche joke.
I was going to say, I have no
UK
idea what
people are
going
to be in fits of laughter there. Yeah, I was expecting a lot more aggressive meta, honestly, coming into the LPL, but things have slowed down. Demacia Cup was a lot more aggressive.
Yeah, and that's what I expected to see coming into this.
But then again, the stakes are lower in Demacia Cup, ultimately.
Very true. Still, I thought with more objectives and more, fighting around Rift Arrows, fighting around Dragons, we would have seen teams just trying to butt heads. But it is the case of teams now realizing, hey, look, we don't really have to fight in the early stages of the game. It's only for 3rd and 4th Dragon that we really need to. That's pushing the 20-minute mark. So that 1 to 2 items is where we really want to be fighting. And if we don't have the early game comp, we don't have control, we're fine with that. We're just going to let a few of those Dragons and Rift Arrows go over and wait until we're in a better spot to make the plays happen.
Not going to be able to find himself a tier 1 tower down in the bottom lane. And with 3 minutes until the next Dragon, Baron is now on the map over towards that top side. Neither team really with a composition that wants to try and sneak things, but obviously the Lucian there in the hands of Hope does have the Blade of the Rune King. We've seen sneaky plays like that before. Here we go, JJ looking for the in-sec, and he finds Photic. Beautifully done.
JJ has been stepping up so well in this series. This was the defining matchups that we had, the jungle mid duo, how these were going to play out, and JJ has solidified that firmly in favor of EDG. Top Esports have managed to pick up a few of those objectives for themselves to keep up in this series, but with plays like that from JJ, EDG are slowing down the tempo and giving themselves the opportunity to get back in this game.
Photic getting caught out there, just trying to shove the wave out, but needs to respect when he doesn't have vision control in his jungle. Mako now going to be the one caught out, and Top Esports answer for the pick onto their AD carry with a pick onto the enemy support.
What they were trying to do was, okay, we're totally fine to move in here. We just got the pick. We're the bad guys on the rip. We can move in and get this sorted, but not to be the case. They end up finding themselves on the business end of Karsa and that Tremor Scent. Now Knight pushing forward the mid lane. Only hope to defend this turret. That's not going to survive very long.
Oh my goodness. Knight is starting to pack a punch. He's finished his Morella Nomicon and he's got another Fiendish Codex hidden away in his inventory there. He's starting to really dish out the damage, and if he can find a couple of targets for a Shockwave, that could be a game changer right there. Looking for the fight. There's a knock-up. There's a 2-man Shockwave. And this is going to be kills galore for Top Esports. Just one on the board here and they back away.
And this is what we were talking about, where Top Esports would wait until Knight had finished those 2 items. The Morello Nomicon is now completed, and that's where Orianna stops being just a CC bot. Instead, there's a punch behind that as well.
I thought they were going to continue the dive. I thought they were going to look for more, but they don't need to. They found GAGA. They got the smite off of the board, and that means they can just waltz on into this Baron pit. But EDG, they're not having this one. They're not going to allow this one to go down without a fight. Jinu, the first one in. Scout getting onto the backline. Photic behind the Baron right now, but he's fine. He's A-OK. Shockwave onto 3, though. Scout doing what he can. What he can is nothing. This is a one fight for Top, and it's a Baron to boot.
And now they've got a minion wave there as well. The actual shockwave from Orianna.
Bonus
and the
kill.
Bonk. There we
at
go.
Beautiful. GAGA tries to sneak in, but he's too late to the party for the second time this game.
Dragon is just up. The wave has been cleared by Hope, so they can't try and push in for that tier 2 tower. You can see the teleport already started by 369, or possibly Knight. Knight actually in the bottom lane. Get control of these waves and then turn towards the Dragon, but there's no Hope in this fight. Well, literally, Hope is outside on the opposite side of the wall. He can't get into the equation. Scout also goes in aggressively, hoping that he'd have the backup of Jinu to be there to save him. Unfortunately, Mordekaiser does a good job where 369 takes him to the death realm and spells disaster for EDG in that engage.
And now onto the Dragon as well. Look at the sheer control of the map that Top Esports have gained for themselves. Casa are going to be able to grab the Ocean Drake while all of this is going on. This will be their 3rd Drake now, as well as the Baron for themselves. Top Esports, over the last couple of minutes, have just wrestled complete control.
And now that you've got the double Ocean as well, it becomes a lot easier for Top Esports to, eat a little bit of damage, a culling from Hope, or if Scout can get a chain lash down, and then start to regen this up. We're not even looking towards that next Ocean Drake, which is going to give them the Ocean Soul, which turns it into a whole different beast for EDG. But it is looking very much so like Top Esports have got control of this game, and it's the slow, methodical push to finish it out.
Now on towards this mid lane. The siege has begun. 369 is nowhere to be seen, though. He's not dealing any pressure out right now, but Scout is all the way up in the top lane. He can't teleport right now. He can't get on into this fight, and it means that he's trading a tier 1 for an inhibitor.
I think EDG have given this up. They know this is going to go down regardless with that Baron buff there, and they're not going to bother. Instead, they're trying to get as much as they can in that side lane. Scout, though, is going to be forced to back now that Jinu has gone away. Although they're still calling, just keep pushing. We're going to lose 2 inhibs. We're fine with that.
Scout,
I don't think you should be fine with that, by the way.
The classic split push Silas there. This is going to look for a tier 2 in exchange for this bottom inhibitor. It ain't pretty, boys and girls. It ain't pretty, but it's what he's got.
Didn't even get the tower. Oh, this is so sad. EDG.
Womp, womp.
Top tier 1 for 2 inhibitors.
What is going on today? Because in the first series of the day, we saw Vici and DMO both kind of showing very dramatically different levels of play between games. Now, our second series of the day, Top Esports against EDG. Game 1, Top Esports, nowhere to be seen. Game number 2 now, EDG can't find a handle on this game.
And it does seem to be that the third game is where we actually get what we were expecting from the series in certain situations as well. So I'm not certain. I don't know. EDG looked great, but I think it was just Top Esports not respecting Scout's movement around the map. This time around, they've adapted. They've got the Unsealed Spellbook and Knight to answer for the roams from Scout. And this is looking like a very different game, even with the good start that EDG got off the back of JJ.
Almost a 10,000 gold lead now for Top Esports as they look to finish things off here. But EDG are not going to go down without a fight. Everything popped onto the front line here, but in goes JJ, cannot finish things off, and he'll go down. Scout is going to be next as he tries to run away on the Silas. 369 destroys Hope's health bar. Everybody falling. Top Esports have got this one in the bag.
And he goes down at the end, takes a terror shot. Knight. I was about to praise you for how well you've done, but ends up falling to the tower. Scout, 1v1 against the support. I think the rest of the team have abandoned them in the hopes of finishing.
You know it's not great when you can barely hurt the Braum.
Look,
Chocho just walks away. Like, Chocho's invincible at this point. This is going to be the game. This is going to be top. Walking this one in. 2 games in a row now. We have one team roll over the other. And we'll have to see in Game 3 who's going to be able to take the lead.
Anytime someone locks in Silas now, I want just a gif of him trying to kill Chocho. And that to be played the whole way through Champ Select. Because this Silas, every time it comes out, has just been a non-factor. Teams are trying to bring it out in cool, new, and impressive ways, but whatever's going on in scrims is not translating to the stage.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not convinced by this Silas pick at all. Knight looked great on the Orianna. 1 or 2 missed shockwaves, but mostly fantastic there. And honestly, very clean game coming out from top Esports, and very much a case of finding their power spikes, taking the advantage there when they have the opportunity, and just snowballing that to a win.
Very different game from what we saw in the last one, and a lot of that does come, again, mid-lane difference in this situation. Knight keeping control of Scout this time around, not allowing him to get out and snowball these victories through the side lanes, and top Esports, by staying in touching distance of that lead for EDG, were able to turn this one back in their favor.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know what is going on today with the swinging matchups here, as EDG, I don't know, 2 totally different teams from Game 1 to Game 2, and Knight specifically as a player. His Zoe previously has looked amazing. Earlier today looked terrible. Now on the Orianna looks fantastic. So I don't know. Maybe people just they need this Chinese New Year. They need a couple of weeks off so they can just deal with the rust, maybe.
They need a couple of weeks off to deal with the few months off that they had for the 1 week of play. I get that. I mean, we've all come back after Christmas break and needed a holiday.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I can relate to that. I can relate to that. But yeah, when we take a look at the draft from that one, a little bit more standard than what we saw in the first series of today when it comes to the picks and bans here. But obviously, EDG starting to focus out on Knight with things like the Zoe ban there. Didn't really work out. Honestly, if I'm EDG, I kind of want Knight to be on Zoe with the performance he had in game number 1.
And Mako playing so well around it as well. It didn't really seem like they had a problem with Knight on this Zoe, but it looks like Knight has a lot more picks that he can go for. I don't think they'll go back towards the Zoe again, and I think things might start to get mixed up a little bit if we do see EDG going back onto that blue side. All
right, well, we're going to be finding out if Karsa and Knight can prove themselves as the best duo in the LPL. So far, it's not looking that great. This game was not about them, but we'll have to find out if game number 3 will go more their way as we head into a break.